Hi, time for timer, and time to make a week's supply of healthy after-school snacks. Now some weekend when it's raining and your mother is complaining because you're hanging around just twiddling your thumbs. Tell your mom that you've been itching to make something in the kitchen, and oh yes, the mess will be a minimum. But the thing that's going to please her is you make it in the freezer, and nothing could be easier to fix. Now just watch as I go through it. Really, all you need to do it is some kind of juice and just a few toothpicks. Okay, now take an empty ice tray and fill it up with orange juice or lemonade or pomegranate juice or whatever turns you on. Then cover the tray with plastic wrap, carefully poke the toothpicks through the plastic, put it in the freezer, and in a few hours, presto, stacks of snacks. Don't wait until it rains before you try this nifty trick. You'll have a fun time hitting sunshine on a stick. Hi, time for timer. What? No time for breakfast? Now look, since 6 o'clock last night you haven't eaten a bite. Come on, I'll show you why that's really not the way for a growing kid to start a busy day. Here we are inside your body, and this noisy empty space is your stomach getting angry because there's no food in the place. Uh-oh, let's find some food fast. Now listen. I don't want you to think this is the best way to eat breakfast, but in case you can't cook, and if you haven't time for a good cereal and a well-balanced meal, then this quickie breakfast is better than nothing at all, okay? Hey, here's orange juice and milk and fruit just waiting to be taken. And bless my soul, right here's a bowl with one cold piece of steak in, a hard-boiled egg or chicken leg or cheese or luncheon meat, or a peanut butter sandwich. Any time of day is a treat. So to keep your mom from grumbling and stop that stomach rumbling and keep your legs from stumbling when you play, you gotta eat some kind of breakfast every day.
Don't pout, check it out. Zach's gonna show you what work's about.
It's the block, it's the block.
I am the future of law.
Without a job, without a job.
I am the future of law.
What can I do?
No need to panic, no need to get scared. You can make the future by being prepared.
Good morning. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Yeah, definitely you want to be prepared. You don't want the no job blow up. Oh man, I'm going blind. So, yeah, apologies. I did schedule this for 7:30, which was like 2 hours ago. I think 7, 8, 9, yeah. But I don't know what I was thinking. I was trying to be. What's up, Nunya? Train people how to eat. It's very interesting. Because the notion of like, oh, you might not know how to cook, but here's how you get food for yourself. Nowadays, it seems like that would be a little like, what are you, neglecting your kids? I always remembered that wagon wheel guy. There you have it, a wagon wheel. And I knew even when I was a kid looking at that was from like a much earlier thing. So I still haven't really quite decided which Apocrypha I'm going to do next, although I'm veering towards just the Esdras and just make my way down the list. Unless anyone has any particular... I thought about doing a poll, but I don't know, that seems a little gratuitous. It's like Esdras, because originally, though, I was thinking of Maccabees, just because, I don't know, I'm a history nerd, and Maccabees is like the most like historical of them all. For the most part, from what I understand, first Maccabees is considered historical, second one's more considered, I got that right, prophetic. I was looking at one page that actually, there's really, the information on the Apocrypha is so varied. Because you have a good swath of people that really want to add it to Scripture. I didn't even check and see if you guys said that you could hear me okay. Yeah, I guess you can. Otherwise, hopefully, somebody would have said something. Dr. Mordecai Cassius Marcellus Jones. Good to see you. Yes. The wombs of every barren woman shall shoot rainbows. I don't know, I just made that up. So yeah. So here's just a general list of Apocrypha that we're looking at, because I know there's like the Adam and Eve, like all these kind of. I'm going to stick with what right at the moment. Depends on how long I end up doing this. So we got the Wisdom of Solomon, which I don't know. I guess the most contemporary date I see for that is 30 BC, but I would put that even farther. Although 30 BC, well, I don't know. I'm not a scholar on that. Ecclesiasticus, which is also Sirach, is called Ecclesiasticus, and I think the Catholic, I think that's still considered canonical, if I'm not mistaken, by Catholics. And so then we have Tobit or Tobias. I should probably have these on the screen. And Judith, and then the first Esdras, and which is considered historic. First and second Maccabee. Okay, I'm thinking of Esdras. Second Esdras is considered prophetic. And the Esdras is basically Ezra. It's like Greek for Ezra. What we know as the book of Ezra is considered, as far as this goes, first Ezra, and then these Apocrypha are second and third. But if we're just considering them Apocrypha, then this is first and second Esdras, and then our Ezra is Ezra. Got it? And then the other prophetic ones are the book of Baruch, which is, Jeremiah's scribe. And then you also have the letter of Jeremiah. And then beyond that, you have additions to Esther. You have a prayer of Azariah, which is one of the guys in the book of Daniel. And Susanna, which I was thinking about doing that, but yeah, maybe I'll do that next. Bel and the Dragon, and the prayer of Manasseh. Anyway, I'm going to go into Ezra's just to get it rolling. I think what this is basically trying to do is fill out the story of the return from, basically like a sequel to actually Ezra. Again, unless there's any great other types of quests in general. It's one time in a land far away. You should do the apocryphal paragraph of Daniel, because any painting of Daniel in the lion's den should be of a young man. But RCC has him in the lion's den again at the old age. Is that in the King James Apocrypha? That's my source at the moment. The online Apocrypha. And then if I look at the list there, it's Daniel in that. It's not, but if it's really short, Apocrypha Daniel. Zip blind. Translate the signature. The story of Susanna, the prayer of Azariah. Wait, what? Do you know more about that, Mike? As far as like what the specific name for that is? If it's just a paragraph, would it just be the paragraph? I'm still drinking my coffee, to be quite honest. I'm really like half in a dream, twilight state. But hopefully the caffeine will kick in. There was like two different Trinity debates going on at the same time. And I really just wanted to go to bed. Wasn't having it. Yeah, so I'm going to share the screen. Wait a moment. But yeah, the Daniel one. Yeah, I wonder if I could find that again. That would be because it would be cool to do like a short one and then get into a longer one. And then Kofifi. Mick, good to see you, man. Ernie. God bless you. God bless you. Happy Saturday morning. Hopefully everything is well with everyone and everything. Here we go. Additions to Daniel. 3 chapters are as follows. The prayer of Azariah. Okay, so yeah, it is those. The prayer of Azariah and the song of the 3 holy children. Susanna and the elders, and Bel and the dragon. Okay, so those are the ones from Daniel. Bel and the dragon, Susanna, prayer of Azariah. Now, there are some external links here. But Susanna, but yeah, those are in this. So yeah, maybe I will do those then. So if anybody was seriously looking forward to 1st and 2nd Ezra's, sorry, you're going to have to wait. I'll see how long these are. Where's the share screen? Yeah, because over here we have these. Prayer of Azariah, Susanna, and Bel and the dragon. And now, I'm not going to judge an opinion because I could read some of this general scholarship, which says that the prayer of Azariah, the prayer is written in about the 2nd or 1st century. Susanna is written the same time, and Bel and the Dragon's written like 100 BC. I mean, don't they say that Daniel was written? So, who knows? But I assume that, I want to reinvent the wheel. I assume that smarter people than myself look at these and that there's reasons. And generally I have. Back in my earliest Christian days, I went through a bunch of these because my attitude is like, whoa, I bet they're all wrong about all this stuff. And then when I came to look at a lot of the early Apocrypha, and a lot of the first thing I bought was Josephus, Interlinear Bible, and the Nag Hammadi library. And I threw the Nag Hammadi library in the back of the closet, after reading it for an hour. So it's just this is all obviously fan fiction. Fanfics. Okay. So Azariah is one of the 3. If anybody is unfamiliar with the story of Daniel, when Israel was taken captive and the temple was destroyed around, what year was that? The time of Nebuchadnezzar, took all the Israel's captive and had Daniel and 3 guys. They would take Jews as their advisors because they weren't involved in their family bloodline. They could, they wouldn't be trusted to try to take over the throne. Is what I believe the theory goes, as far as I understand it. So he always had these advisors. So the way I look at it, the quintessential, the king with his wizard advisor, I think is actually a caricature of historically of this time period. It was well known about how Jewish people were basically still in some way respected, although it was because they were conquered people. But again, look at all these kings who had these advisors like this, the grand vizier, I picture the grand vizier of anyway, I don't know. So yeah, at some point there was a guy who didn't like Jews very much, and he didn't like Daniel very much, and he said he coerced the king to make people bow down to a certain statue, and he knew that the Jews were not going to be able to do this. Actually, am I getting my stories mixed up? I'm sorry, because I know Daniel did not bow down to the statue when they played all the things. What were the 3? What were these guys actually? Somebody remind me here. What were they put? What did they do to be thrown into the 7x7 fiery furnace? Hey, good morning. Hope you are well in these troubling times. Number the Psalms as well. There's also a extra psalm in the Apocrypha too. Was that in here? Or is that under another name? Doesn't look like it. So yeah, so how long is the prayer of Azariah? Is it super short? Yeah, that's pretty short. So let's just start this to get started, I think. Oh yeah, but so yeah, these three individuals that are in Babylonian language called Meshech. Wow, I'm not awake yet. Meshach, Abednego, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Wow, and then their Hebrew names were actually, but they were given these, Babylonian names. But they were basically like, no, we are not allowed to bow down to idols, to worship your false gods. So then they were thrown into the furnace, and then in the story, they cranked up the heat, and it was so hot that even a bunch of these guardsmen were killed by it. And then they looked down and they saw the three guys still walking around, and then Nebuchadnezzar says, "Why do I see four men down there, and one of them looks like the son of God, a son of God, or however you want to translate their language there?" So it's just kind of inexplicable. They see a fourth man, and so anyway, there's a lot of hillbilly songs about the fourth man in the fire. Okay, Azariah, as they walked. Oh yeah, my whole point of this is recording this. That's why I have this stupid thing on my head. Okay, I got to change the audio setup real quick. And again, I think this is pretty short, so I don't know, maybe I'll just do all these Daniel ones before I get to Ezra's. I don't think anybody was really chomping at the bit for second and third Ezra's. Okay, where's my audio changing setup stuff? Audio set. Oh, yeah, press the right button. Stop. Audio. Recorder. Microphone. Azariah. Prayer of Azariah. Azariah. Voice of the Simpsons guy. The voice sounds familiar. Prayer of Azariah. Sorry, let me keep this thing going on. 3 went in, 4 came out. Amen. All right. And they walked in the midst of the fire, praising God and blessing the Lord. Then Azariah stood up and prayed on this manner, and opening his mouth in the midst of the fire, said, "Blessed art thou, O Lord God of our fathers. Thy name is worthy to be praised and glorified forevermore. For thou art righteous in all things that thou hast done to us. Yea, true." Hold up. I think I lost the cadence. For thou art righteous. So okay, so it seems this is literally like supposed to be his thoughts as he's walking into the furnace. Okay, very clever. Again, I'm not going to try to. I'm going to interrupt myself and talk during this because again, I'm not going to pretend that this is holy writ. But it's interesting because I probably would then just consider this fan fiction in a way. Oh, it's interesting because as I'm reading like the early church writers, they'll act like they're literally speaking to. They're like, "Oh, Daniel, please tell." Like they'll make like they're speaking to, and they'll also speak as the place of other. Like it's the way early people, because we take a lot for granted as far as our mentality when it comes to having stuff like actors somebody. The actual concept of pretending like you're somebody else and then acting it out and this sort of thing. This is something like we're taught at such a young age on that concept. But I think people who had never had this sort of concept, again, it's because it sounds like stupid. Like, well, of course, acting, children act like other things and this sort of thing. But the concept of that historically would be the early priests acting out the parts of their gods as they read their own holy scripture, and then they put on the masks, the personas, and then they act the things out, and then in front of the people. And that's the original concept of that. I think most people, if you started doing that, be like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this?" The concept of doing that for like entertainment or for, I'm not saying people would have taken long to learn it, but it's, maybe let me shut up.
Praised and glorified forevermore.
For thou art righteous in all the things that thou hast done to us. Yea, true are all thy works. Thy ways are right, and all thy judgments truth. In all the things that thou hast brought upon us, and upon the holy city of our fathers, even Jerusalem, thou hast executed true judgment. For according to truth and judgment didst thou bring all these things upon us because of our sins. For we have sinned and committed iniquity, departing from thee. In all things have we trespassed, and not obeyed thy commandments, nor kept them, neither done as thou hast commanded us, that it might go well with us. Wherefore, all that thou hast brought upon us, and everything that thou hast done to us, thou hast done in true judgment. And thou didst deliver us into the hands of lawless enemies, most hateful forsakers of God, and to an unjust king, and the most wicked in all the world. And now we cannot open our mouths. We are become a shame and reproach to thy servants and to them that worship thee. Yet deliver us not up wholly for thy name's sake, neither disannul thou thy covenant. And cause? What up, cuz? Okay.
Neither disannul thou thy covenant.
I think thou should be capitalized there. You know, the scripture doesn't, you know, there are Bibles that don't do that a lot.
Neither disannul thou thy covenant.
Coffee's probably not necessarily good for the throat. And cause not thy mercy to depart from us, for thy beloved Abraham's sake, for thy servant Isaac's sake, and for thy holy Israel's sake, to whom thou hast spoken and promised that thou wouldest multiply their seed as the stars of heaven, and as the sand that lieth upon the seashore. For we, O Lord, are become less than any nation, and be kept under this day in all the world because of our sins. Neither is there at this time prince or prophet or leader or burnt offering or sacrifice or oblation or incense or place to sacrifice before thee and to find mercy. Nevertheless, in a contrite heart and an humble spirit, let us be accepted, like as in the burnt offerings of rams and bullocks, and like as in 10 thousands of fat lambs, so let our sacrifice be in thy sight this day, and grant that we may wholly go after thee, for they shall not be confounded that put their trust in thee. And now we follow thee with all our heart. We fear thee and seek thy face. Put us not to shame, but deal with us after thy loving kindness, and according to the multitude of thy mercies. Deliver us according to thy marvelous works, and give glory to thy name, O Lord, and let all them that do thy servants hurt be ashamed, and let them be confounded, and all their power and might, and let their strength be broken, and let them know that thou art God, the only God, and glorious over the whole world. And the king's servants that put them in ceased not to make the oven hot with rosin, pitch, tow, and small wood, so that the flames streamed forth above the furnace 49 cubits. This suddenly changed narrators here, verse 29. Or was this always? As they walked into the midst, Azariah stood up and said, boom. Okay, so now suddenly this is not Azariah, this is the narrator speaking. How was I on? Over the whole world.
Hitch, toe.
So we gotta get rid of that again. We gotta find where that ended.
Put them in, ceased not to make the oven hot.
Nope. The whole world.
For the whole world.
Since I know that's the last line from Azariah at the moment, I'm gonna redo it.
And let them know that thou art.
And let them know that thou art. And let them know that thou art the only God and glorious over the whole world. All right. Yo, what up? Happy Saturday. Hope you're staying safe. It's crazy, ain't it, Ernie? I hope you're staying cool this summertime, William. I know you're living down south. At some point. And the king's servants that put them in ceased not to make the oven hot with rosin, pitch, tow, and small wood, so that the flame streamed forth above the furnace 49 cubits. And it passed through and burned those Chaldeans it found about the Why am I reading this like Dan Rather? Let me try this again. And the king's servants that put them in ceased not to make the oven hot with rosin, pitch, tow, and small wood. Hold up. Is tow? What is it? I don't even know that word tow. I assume that's tow and not tow. Hold up. I got to look it up. Tow, tow. Tow. Motor vehicle, or no. Cruising boat, no. Come on. That's only one definition. Let's see. Tow, to drag. Come on, man. How hard is it to find a dictionary definition of your... Dude, something like a tugboat, a rope, shorter broken fibers. There we go. Fibers. So they're putting synthetic fiber, loose, essentially untwisted strand of synthetic fibers. Scotland, tow. So, tow.
Toe.
verb. Wait, no, it's not the verb. Okay, it says the pronunciation is the same. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Over the whole world.
Toe. Who says that? And the king's servants that put them in ceased not to make the oven hot with rosin, pitch, tow, and small wood. Small wood. I really need to enunciate my S's because this microphone. Try it one more time. And the king's servants that put them in ceased not to make the oven hot with rosin, pitch, tow, and small wood, so that the flame streamed forth above the oven 49 cubits. All right, sorry, I gotta do it one more time. And the king's servants that put them in ceased not to make the oven hot with rosin, pitch, tow, and small wood, so that the flame streamed forth above the furnace 49 cubits. And it passed through and burned those Chaldeans it found about the furnace. And the angel of the Lord came down into the oven together with Azariah and his fellows, and smote the flame out of the fire, out of the oven. And I'm going to have to redo that a bit. Hold up, just a small bit.
And his fellows. And
smote. So they have the angel of the Lord coming down into the midst of the furnace, and smote the flame of the fire out of the oven, and made the midst of the furnace as it had been a moist whistling wind, so that the fire touched them not at all, neither hurt nor troubled them. Then the three, as out of one mouth, praised, glorified, and blessed God in the furnace, saying, Blessed art thou, O Lord God of our fathers, and be praised and exalted above all forever. And blessed is thy glorious and holy name, and to be praised and exalted above all forever. Blessed art thou in the temple of thine holy glory, and to be praised and glorified above all forever. Blessed art thou that beholdest the depths, and sittest upon the cherubims, and to be praised and exalted above all forever. Blessed art thou on the glorious throne of thy kingdom, and to be praised and glorified above all forever. Blessed art thou in the firmament of heaven, and above all to be praised and glorified forever. O all ye works of the Lord, bless ye the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye heavens, bless ye the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye angels of the Lord, bless ye the Lord. Praise and exalt above all. I should be singing this. No, I shouldn't. Uh-oh. There we go. Mess that up.
bless ye the Lord. Praise and exalt. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye eight.
Okay, we stopped at the angels.
O ye heavens, bless ye the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever.
Edomite Reggie. What up, cuz? I got the Edomite beard going on. Can't deny it. I think my people were Bearmans, though. This is Lord waters. So angels, yeah.
O ye heavens,
Heavens. O ye angels of the Lord, bless ye the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O all ye waters that be above the heaven, bless ye the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O all ye powers of the Lord, bless ye the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye sun and moon, bless ye the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye stars of heaven, bless ye the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O every shower and dew, bless ye the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O all ye winds, bless ye the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye fire and heat, bless ye the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye winter and summer, bless ye the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye dews and storms of snow, bless ye the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye days, nights and days. Do-do-do-do-do-do.
O ye gate,
O ye day. What am I doing? Dan. Was it days and nights, nights and days? Okay. O ye nights and days, bless ye the Lord. Bless and exalt him above all forever. O ye light and darkness, bless ye the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye ice and cold, bless ye the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye frost and snow, bless ye the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye lightnings and clouds, bless ye the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O let the earth bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye mountains and little hills, bless ye the Lord. Try that one again.
bless ye the Lord. O ye
Oh. Sorry. O ye mountains and little hills, bless ye the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. Is where I was, right?
bless the Lord. Praise and exalt him.
I really want to put music to this now.
And exalt him.
But
O let the earth bless.
I don't think that's in my wheelhouse for the moment.
Praise and exalt him above all forever.
So make sure.
O ye
Mountains, okay. O ye seas and rivers, bless ye the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye whales and all that move in the waters, bless ye the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O all ye fowls of the air, bless ye the Lord. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O all ye beasts and cattle, bless ye the Lord, praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye children of men, bless ye the Lord, praise and exalt him above all forever. O Israel, bless ye the Lord, praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye priests of the Lord, bless ye the Lord, praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye servants of the Lord, bless ye the Lord, praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye spirits and souls of the righteous, bless ye the Lord, praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye holy and humble men of heart, bless ye the Lord, praise and exalt him above all forever. O Ananias, actually, I guess I should just have like roaring flames behind me saying that would be the real thing. What up, Jim? Good to see you, brother. Good to see you, brother.
Praise and exalt him above all forever.
Be right. I keep wanting to play that space program again, man. I'm telling you. It's super fun. Unfortunately, I appear to be addicted to making these.
Praise and exalt him above all forever.
O Ananias, Azarias, and Mishael, bless ye the Lord, praise and exalt him above all forever. For he hath delivered us from hell, and saved us from the hand of death, and delivered us out of the midst of the furnace and burning flame, even out of the midst of the fire hath he delivered us. O give thanks unto the Lord, because he is gracious, for his mercy endureth forever. O all ye that worship the Lord, bless the God of gods, praise him, and give him thanks, for his mercy endureth forever. "11 minutes and 10 seconds. Oh, wait, next chapter? I thought this was one chapter. It's just two chapters. Book one. No. There is no next chapter. So Susanna. Why don't we just do Susanna then? Is this also one? Yes. I heard this is about basically a woman getting creeped on by two priests, but I don't know. Let me take that off of there. All right, I'm gonna have to learn how to pronounce that. Joachim. 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 It's probably just Joachim. 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 All right. So that's that. Very short 10-minute book was that Prayer of Azariah. Just a prayer. I mean, I don't want to prayer longer than 10 minutes. Praise the Lord. I'm going to save this real quick. Export the audio to Let's see. I'm actually going to make it a WAV file. Prayer of Azarias. All right, export done. Making a new one. Is this just straight up called Susanna? Is that it? Is that the only title for this? Not the Book of Susanna. 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 I'm gonna look that up because that sounds just bizarre. Just saying Susanna. Let's see what we got. Susanna. It's an opera from 1955. No. Book. Apocrypha. Susanna, Book of Daniel. Also called Susanna and the Elders. Okay. Susanna and the Elders. Narrative included in the Book of Daniel as chapter 13 by the Catholic Church, the Oriental Orthodox churches, and Eastern Orthodox churches. It is one of the additions to Daniel placed in the Apocrypha by Protestants with Anabaptist, Lutherans, Anglicans, and Methodists, regarding it as non-canonical but useful for purposes of edification. This says, the text is not included in the Jewish Tanakh and is not mentioned in early Jewish literature, although it does appear to have been part of the original Septuagint, from the, Latin has a hard G. I think it's Septuagint's still not technically wrong. From the 2nd century BC, it was revised by Theodosian of Hellenistic Jewish redactor of the Septuagint text, AD 150. Revised. So what do we have here? Okay, so I guess this is in Catholic Bibles. Good to know. So all your Catholic friends, they consider this. That's the thing with Catholics. Their view, because that's the thing. I held a view of a version of sola scriptura. I don't hold the specific, because I think the concept of sola scriptura as it's described is generally flawed. Because of course it's not sola scriptura, because the Holy Spirit is involved. So it's like, well, we also have sola Christus and solo Christus and sola fide. And it's like, well, then if we got all these solas, then they're not really solas. So the whole thing is just anyway.
Susanna.
I'm gonna call this Susanna and the Elders. Is that what it was? Susanna. I'm just going to call it Susanna. That's what it says here. There dwelt a man in Babylon called Joachim, and he took a wife whose name was Susanna, the daughter of Chalcias, a very fine... sorry, these names are throwing me off. I guess it'll be Chalcias. Is it Chalcias? Chalcias doesn't sound right. Chalcias. How do I say Chalcias? Because people say Chaldeans with the CH.
And he took a...
Okay. And he took a wife whose name was Susanna, the daughter of Chelcias. Chelcias. Chelcias? Chelcias. It's Ananias. And he took a wife whose name was Susanna, the daughter of Chelcias, a very fair woman, and one that feared the Lord. Her parents also were righteous, and taught their daughter according to the law of Moses. I sound like I'm slurring.
Her parents
Her parents also were righteous, and taught their daughter according to the law of Moses. Now Joachim was a great rich man, and had a fair garden joining unto his house, and to him resorted the Jews, because he was more honorable than all others. The same year were appointed 2 of the ancients of the people to be judges, such as the Lord spake of, that wickedness came from Babylon, from ancient judges, who seemed to govern the people. Sorry, this is not. It's...
fair woman, and one that feared the Lord.
Her parents also were righteous, and taught their daughter according to the law of Moses. Now Joachim was a great rich man, and had a fair garden joining unto his house, and to him resorted the Jews, because he was more honorable than all others. The same year were appointed 2 of the ancients of the people to be judges, such as the Lord spake of, that wickedness came from Babylon, from ancient judges, who seemed to govern the people. These kept much at Joachim's house, and all that they had any suits in law. Okay. This is a little more narrative than the other one.
These kept
These kept much at Joachim's house, and all that they had any suits in law came unto them. Now, when the people departed away at noon, Susanna went into her husband's garden to walk. And the 2 elders saw her going in every day and walking, so that their lust was inflamed toward her. And they perverted their own mind, and turned away their eyes, that they might not look unto heaven, nor remember just judgments. Albeit they were wounded with her love, both wounded with her love. Let's do this again.
and they perverted
and they perverted their own mind, and turned away their eyes, that they might not look unto heaven, nor remember just judgments. And albeit they were did it again. Hold up.
so that their lust was inflamed toward her. And they
perverted their own mind, and turned away their eyes, that they might not look unto heaven, nor remember just judgments. And albeit they both were wounded with her love, yet durst not one show another his grief. For they were ashamed to declare their lust, that they desired to have to do with her. Yet they watched diligently from day to day to see her. And the one said to the other, Let us now go home, for it is dinner time. So when they were gone out, they parted one from the other, and turning back again, they came to the same place. And after that they had asked one another the cause, they acknowledged their lust. Then appointed they a time both together, when they might find her alone. Hold up. That entire last paragraph.
And after that, they had asked one another the cause.
It's kind of like a comedy movie.
And turning back again, they came to the same place.
A Woody Allen movie. And after that they had asked one another the cause, they acknowledged their lust. Then appointed they a time both together, when they might find her alone. And it fell out, as they watched a fit time, she went in as before with 2 maids only, and she was desirous to wash herself in the garden, for it was hot. And there was nobody there, save the 2 elders, that had hid themselves and watched her. Then she said, this is,
Hid themselves.
I feel like I'm reading like Twilight or something.
Watched her.
Then she said to her maids, "Bring me oil and washing balls, and shut the garden doors, that I may wash me." And they did as she said. Do. Mike, why do you want me to read this?
Garden doors, that I may wash me.
And they did as she bade them, and shut the garden doors, and went out themselves at privy doors to fetch the things that she had commanded them. But they saw not the elders, because they were hid. Now, when the maids were gone forth, the 2 elders rose up and ran unto her, saying, "Behold, the garden doors are shut, that no man can see us, and we are in love with thee. Therefore consent unto us, and lie with us. If thou wilt not, we will bear witness against thee that a young man was with thee, and therefore thou didst send away thy maids, and there."
If thou wilt not.
If thou wilt not. If thou wilt not, we will bear witness against thee that a young man was with thee, and therefore didst thou send away thy maids from thee. Then Susanna sighed and said, "I am straitened on every side, for if I do this thing, it is death unto me, and if I do it not, I cannot escape your hands. It is better for me to fall into your hands and not do it, than to sin in the sight of the Lord." With that, Susanna cried.
Than to sin.
What is she saying?
It is
It's better for me to fall into your hands. Fall in, does that mean like let them like and do not it and not do it? Fall in, that means let them kill her, than to sin in the sight of the Lord. So she's basically like, kill me. Yeah.
escape your hands.
It is better for me to fall into your hands and not do it, than to sin in the sight of the Lord. With that, Susanna cried with a loud voice, and the 2 elders cried out against her. Then ran the one and opened the garden door. So when the servants of the house heard the cry in the garden, they rushed in at the privy door to see what was done unto her. But when the elders had declared their matter, the servants were greatly ashamed, for there was never such a report made of Susanna. And it came to pass the next day, when the people were assembled to her husband Joachim, the 2 elders came also, full of mischievous imagination, against Susanna to put her to death, and said before the people, Send for Susanna, the daughter of Chalchias, Joachim's wife. And so they sent. So she came with her father and mother, her children, and all her kindred. Now, Susanna was a very delicate woman, and beauteous to behold, and these wicked men commanded to uncover her face, for she was covered, that they might be filled with her beauty. Therefore her friends and all that saw her wept. Then the 2 elders stood up in the midst of the people and laid their hands upon her head. And she, weeping, looked up toward heaven, for her heart trusted in the Lord. And the elders said, As we walked in the garden alone, this woman came in with 2 maids, and shut the garden doors, and sent the maids away. Then a young man, who there was hid, came unto her, and lay with her. Then we that stood in a corner of the garden, seeing this wickedness, ran unto them. And when we saw them together, the man could not hold, for he was stronger than we, and opened the door, and leaped out. But having taken this woman, we asked who the young man was, but she would not tell us. These things do we testify. Scumbaggery never changes. The assembly believed them as those that were the elders and judges of the people, so they condemned her to death. Then Susanna cried out with a loud voice and said, O everlasting God, that knowest the secrets and knowest all things before they be, thou knowest that they have borne false witness against me, and behold, I must die, whereas I never did such things as these men have maliciously invented against me. And the Lord heard her voice. Therefore, when she was led to be put to death, the Lord raised up the Holy Spirit of a young youth, whose name was Daniel, who cried with a loud voice, I am clear from the blood of this woman. Then all the people turned them toward him, and said, What mean these words that thou hast spoken? So he, standing in the midst of them, said, Are ye such fools, ye sons of Israel, that without examination or knowledge of the truth ye have condemned a daughter of Israel? Return again to the place of judgment, for they have borne false witness against her. Wherefore all the people turned again in haste, and the elders said unto him, Come, sit down among us, and show it us, seeing God hath given thee the honor of an elder. Then said Daniel unto them, Put these 2 aside, one far from another, and I will examine them. So when they were put asunder from another,
and I will examine them.
So when they were put asunder one from another, he called one of them and said unto him, O thou that art waxen old in wickedness, now thy sins which thou hast committed aforetime are come to light. For thou hast pronounced false judgment, and hast condemned the innocent, and hast let the guilty go free. Albeit the Lord saith, The innocent and righteous shalt thou not slay. Oh boy. My throat just got super. Okay.
Albeit the Lord saith, the innocent and righteous shalt thou not slay.
Now then, if thou hast seen her, tell me, under what tree sawest thou them companying together? Who answered, under a mastic tree. And Daniel said, very well, thou hast lied against thine own head. For even now the angel of God hath received the sentence of God to cut thee in two. So he put him aside, and commanded to bring the other, and said unto him, O thou seed of Canaan, and not of Judah. Canaan? Is it Canaan? Interesting.
So he put him aside.
Because it says CH, I'm going to pronounce it. Should I pronounce it Canaan? Canaan. Let's put a little bit of ch into it. So he put him aside, and commanded to bring the other, and said unto him, O thou seed of Canaan.
O thou
seed of Canaan. Canaanites. Seed of Canaan. O thou seed of Canaan. Canaan. I can't do it right. O thou seed of Canaan, and not of Judah. Beauty hath delivered. Sorry. O thou seed of Canaan, and not of Judah. Beauty hath deceived thee, and lust hath perverted thine heart. Thus have ye dealt with the daughters of Israel, and they for fear companied with you. But the daughter of Judah would not abide your wickedness. Now therefore tell me, I'm going to leave that. It's interesting what he's saying there. Whereas the daughters of Israel, for they fear company with you, but the daughter of Judah would not abide your wickedness. I wonder if this is also some sort of a metaphorical. Somebody say, well, the two men represent, the Assyrians and the Babylonians coming in, and then Israel is this woman, and then it's all like has a personification. It's possible. Who knows? I don't know.
Now therefore tell
Now therefore tell me, under what tree didst thou take them companying together? Who answered, under an holm tree. Then said Daniel unto him, well, thou hast also lied against thine own head, for the angel of God waiteth with the sword to cut thee in two, that he may destroy you. With that, all the assembly cried out with a loud voice and praised God, who saveth them that trust in him. And they arose against the two elders, for Daniel had convicted them of false witness by their own mouth. And according to the law of Moses, they did unto them in such sort as they maliciously intended to do to their neighbor, and they put them to death. Thus the innocent blood was saved the same day. Therefore, Chalcias.
therefore.
So here we have the earliest version of detective work. Before it's just like, the woman, who's going to believe a woman? Just, sure. Anybody that says anything against a woman, and somebody's like, wait a minute, let's actually do like maybe a percentage of investigating people. Like, come on, like, what do you mean? Reminds me of looking at the early, like before they did like actual detective work or taking clues, people walking all over the crime scene and stuff. And you always see like the anyway, let's wrap that one up.
Thus the innocent blood was saved the same day.
Therefore, Jochias and his wife praised God for their daughter Susanna, with Joachim her husband, and all the kindred, because there was no dishonesty found in her. From that day forth was Daniel had in great reputation in the sight of the people.
Found in her.
From that day forth was Daniel had in great reputation in the sight of the people. It's amazing, and all of these, this one and the last one at least, are like exactly the same length. Like 11, 12. Wait, the other one is 11, 10. So if I like left a few more pauses, so even this is about 10 minutes long. I wonder if it's meant to be written on like a tiny scroll or something. So yeah, that one was interesting. It was more narrative than generally scripture stories are. But yeah, it's basically like the earliest. It's like a detective comes to town, Daniel, and it's like, hey, let's actually use a little bit of logic, common sense. Like, let's split them up, ask them their stories. Oh, one's telling one story, one's telling a different story. Perfect. Now, as far as looking for, because I guess somebody can say, well, this is like Jesus coming in, and I mean, if it's a story that's written, but again, if it's purporting to be written during the time of Daniel, and there's reason to think that it's not, or you can't really prove it, and it is an extra thing, because I can see why they would have left it out. That's the thing. People are always like, well, the church just threw all these Bible verses in. How do we know what's true or not? But they clearly did go through a whole, because there's lots of different writings they did not include in the Bible. It's like if they were putting some thought into it. It wasn't just like they were just grabbing stuff. Let's see. Yeah, what's messed up is, I mean, this is the way of the world. This is the way of humanity in general. It still happens. It's happening right now, somewhere. And if somebody's even trapped in this, like you hear stories of people that are trapped in, like whether they're being like abused by like family members and stuff, and you see people outside, and you can like meet, like you never know what somebody else is going through. You always see this stuff, and you're like, everybody like seems normal. They're not normal. Levitical law dictates warnings on rights. She cried out. Yes. This is a good demonstration. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Esther, That reminds me, one of these other books, from what I understand, is supposed to be, from what I a explanation as to why the name of God isn't mentioned in Esther. Which I've always heard that the name of God is in Esther, as an acrostic. Why that the Yod-He, Wad-He is in, if you look at like the first letters of like the certain verses or something like that. I don't remember exactly. So, betrayer. So yeah, and it's interesting to think about because again, the history of Jewishness in between Jerusalem and down into Egypt and down into Alexandria, because again, like keep it in mind, after the Babylonian times and the Persians and all that kind of stuff, the Greeks, and then Alexander coming forward, and then Alexander dies, and then he has his generals, Ptolemy, Seleucus, and I can't remember the other names, but they split up their kingdoms, and then the Ptolemy took over Egypt. So that's where you have the Greeks taking over the Egyptians there and building the city of Alexandria. and then Alexandria had, and then in the north, and they had wars with Seleucus, who was the Greek general, or at that point, their sons and their daughter, or their offspring were ruling. That's where so the Seleucids, what they're called, the kings, that was where one of them's name was Antiochus or Antiochus. Epiphanes was one of them. There's a couple different ones, and there's one of them who basically was clearly like some kind of a proto-antichrist. He had like idols of himself set up in the temple area, and he had them sacrificing pigs, and he was just, he Hadrianed out on them. And that's where Jesus says, just like the time of Antiochus Epiphanes, the abomination of desolation. But the point is, you have a humongous Jewish presence in Alexandria. Alexandria was basically like almost like a New Jerusalem of sorts, but during that time. And it's likely that between, and this is what you're seeing is the Hellenization of Jewish folk between Alexandria and Jerusalem, and then of course going up into the Greek area as the diaspora starts to dia. If anyone wants to publish a list of all Jesus' commandments, and then good to see you, declaration of your generation. If anyone wants to publish a list of all Jesus commanded, all he commanded, I have some resources to help you. So there was 4 lists done seriously. They all different because they were done alone. Interesante. Yeah, I don't know about the whole Easter thing. Although, my opinion of holidays is that if there's a holiday that's worth celebrating in the Lord, and it's every day, this would be the only thing new under the sun. Generation, love to respond. Word up. Did I export this? Let me make sure I exported this and saved it, and then I'm going to move on to the other extra Daniel apocryphal work. Talking about now generation. So that's Holy Theophany. Prayer Erev Azariah. Shoshana. Probably already expert. All right, so that's good. Next. Talking about my generation. All right, we're going to move on to the next one here. Bel and the Dragon. One chapter, not too long. Some apocryphal tidbits. I don't know. I almost want to save the small with some of the, but it doesn't matter. We'll just get these since it's in the same category for the Daniel ones. Bel and the Dragon. And I'm thinking that's Bel like Baal, like this evil satanic god Baal, not like the beauty from Beauty and the Beast. I always think about like Bel and the Dragon. Astyages. King Astyages. I think it's Astyages, and I'm going to stick with it. Although I'm not going to call it Kairush of Persia. Farsia. It's one of Persia. The language of Persia is Farsi. Farsia. Kharush, like David Kharesh. Or, the Muhammad was the tribe of the Khareshi. Kharesh. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know if Ernie. I don't know if you saw that I had mentioned those writings of pseudo Hippolytus, where he's writing about the end of the world. The one writing, there's another one about the apostles. There's scholarship that seems to show that stuff was written during the late Byzantine or like the early Byzantine period, because there's this whole series of works that are identified as the like basically a eschatological Byzantine stylistic meanderings or whatever. So I think a bunch of these works that were written during that period and that they got associated with Hippolytus just because they say a lot of the style matches up with it. But who knows? But I tend to believe it because the little bit that I did read of pseudo Hippolytus, it seems a little more filled in, which usually, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let me get over into this. And King Astyages was gathered to his fathers, and Cyrus of Persia received his kingdom. And Daniel conversed with the king and was honored above all his friends. Now, and King Astyages was gathered to his fathers, and Cyrus of Persia received his kingdom. And Daniel conversed with the king and was honored above all his friends. Now, the Babylons had an idol called Bel, and there were spent upon him every day 12 great measures of fine flour, and 40 sheep, and 6 vessels of wine. And the king worshipped it, and went daily to adore it. But Daniel worshipped his own God. And the king said unto him, Why dost thou... Oops. Boopy-doo. Where's my mouse cursor? There we go. Messed it up. And if anybody doesn't realize, I'm recording this as I'm
And the king
on an
said
audio
unto him,
file,
Why does
which is why I keep stopping and starting. Where did it go? Why dost not thou worship Bel? Who answered and said, Because I may not worship idols made with hands, but the living God, who hath created the heaven and the earth, and hath sovereignty over all flesh. Then said the king unto him, Thinkest thou not that... Gotta get the Shakespearean out.
Then said the
Then said the king unto him, Thinkest thou not that Baal is a living God? Seest thou not how much he eateth and drinketh every day? Then Daniel smiled and said, O king, be not deceived, for this is but clay within and brass without, and never did. And did never eat or drink anything. So the king was wroth, and called for his priests, and said unto them, If ye tell me not who this is that devoureth these what is that word? Expenses? Okay.
If you tell me not,
This is kind of funny. The king's like, What? Isn't eating 40 sheep a day? What's going on here? Daniel's like, No. Wait.
priests, and said unto them,
If ye tell me not who this is that devoureth these expenses, ye shall die. But if ye can certify me that Bel devoureth them, then Daniel shall die, for he hath spoken blasphemy against Bel. And Daniel said unto the king, Let it be according to thy word. Now the priests of Baal were 70, beside their wives and children. And the king went with Daniel into the temple of Baal. So Baal's priests said, Lo, we go out, but thou, O king, set on the meat, and make ready the wine, and shut the door fast, and seal it with thine own signet. And tomorrow, when thou comest in, if thou findest not that Baal hath eaten up all, we will suffer death. Or else, Daniel, all right, hold up. So what's the plan here? I'm reading this and I'm not absorbing it. I'm going to go back like 2 verses. So the priest said, We'll go out, but thou set on the meat, and make ready the wine, and shut the door fast, and seal it with thine own signet. So he's just like, okay. So yeah, he's telling him to put a bunch of food and drink in this temple and shut the door. Pretty bold move.
And the king went with Daniel.
I don't want to go back too far. Into the temple of Baal.
So Baal's priest.
I stammered there too anyway. So Baal's priests said, Lo, we go out, but thou, O king, set on the meat. Right, frog. Sorry. This is probably more of a tough listen.
Temple of Baal.
So Baal's priests said, Lo, we go out, but thou, O king, set on the meat, and make ready the wine, and shut the door fast, and seal it with thine own signet. And tomorrow, when thou comest in, if thou findest not that Baal hath eaten up all, we will suffer death. Or else Daniel, that speaketh falsely against us. And they little regarded it, for under the table they had made a privy. You can hear that.
And they.
Okay, so they have a trap door. He's conniving. Yeah.
Falsely against us.
And they little regarded it, for under the table they had made a privy entrance, whereby they entered in continually and consumed those things. So when they were gone forth, the king set meats before Baal, and I read now and I said and. I'm losing my mind.
And
now Daniel had commanded his servants to bring ashes, and those they strewed throughout all the temple in the presence of the king alone. Nice. He's doing the old baby ghost trick.
the king set meats before Baal.
Now Daniel had commanded his servants to bring ashes, and those they strewn throughout all the temple in the presence of the king alone. Then went they out, and shut the door, and sealed it with the king's signet, and so departed. Now in the night came the priests with their wives and children, as they were wont to do, and did eat and drink up all. In the morning, betime the king arose, and Daniel with him. And the king said, Daniel, are the seals whole? And he said, Yea, O king, they be whole. And as soon as he had opened the door, the king looked upon the table and cried with a loud voice, Great art thou, O Bel, and with thee is no deceit at all. Then laughed Daniel, and held the king that he should not go in, and said, Behold now the pavement, and mark well whose footsteps are these. And the king said, I see the footsteps of men, women, and children. And then the king and then the king was angry, and took the priests with their wives and children, who showed him the privy doors where they came in, and consumed such things as were upon the table. Therefore the king slew them, and delivered Bel into Daniel's power, who destroyed him and his temple. And in that same place there was a great dragon, which they of Babylon worshipped. And the king said unto Daniel, Wilt thou also say that this is of brass? Lo, he liveth, he eateth and drinketh. Thou canst not say that he is no living God. Therefore worship him. Then said Daniel unto the king, I will worship the Lord my God, for he is the living God. But give me leave, O king, and I shall slay this dragon without sword or staff. The king said, I give thee leave. Then Daniel took pitch and fat and hair, and did seethe them together, and make lumps thereof. This he put in the dragon's mouth, and so the dragon bursts in sunder. And Daniel said, Lo, these are the gods ye worship. When they of Babylon heard that, they took great indignation, and conspired against the king, saying, The king is become a Jew, and he hath destroyed Bel. He hath slain the dragon, and put the priests to death. So they came to the king, and said, Deliver us, Daniel, or else we will destroy thee and thine house. Now when the king saw that they pressed him sore, being constrained, he delivered Daniel unto them, who cast him into the lion's den, where he was 6 days. And in the den there were 7 lions, and they had given them every day 2 carcasses. And they had given Joshua. For 7 lions. 7 lions. Where are the 7 lions? And they had given them every day 2 carcasses and 2 sheep, which then were not given to them, to the intent they might devour Daniel. Now there was in Jewry a prophet called Habakkuk, who had made pottage, and had broken bread in a bowl, and was going into the field for to bring it to the reapers. But the angel of the Lord said unto Habakkuk, Go, carry the dinner that thou hast in... Let's try that again. But the angel of But the angel of the Lord said unto Habakkuk, Go, carry the dinner that thou hast into Babylon unto Daniel, who is in the lion's den. And Habakkuk said, Lord, I never saw Babylon, neither do I know where the den is. Then the angel of the Lord took him by the crown and bare him by the hair of his head, and through the vehemency of his spirit sent him in Babylon. Set him. Vehemency. Vehement? Is it vehement or vehement? Vehement? Let's go back. Vehemently.
And the angel of the Lord took him.
Let's try that part again. A little bit of Vishka.
Do I know where the den is?
Then the angel of the Lord took him by the crown and bare him by the hair of his head, and through the vehemency of his spirit set him in Babylon over the den. And Habakkuk cried, saying, O Daniel, Daniel, take the dinner which God hath sent thee. And Daniel said, Thou hast remembered me, O God, neither hast thou forsaken them that seek thee and love thee. So Daniel arose and did eat, and the angel of the Lord set Habakkuk in his own place again immediately. Upon the 7th day, the king went to bewail Daniel, and when he came to the den, he looked in, and behold, Daniel was sitting. Then cried the king with a loud voice, saying, Great art Lord God of Daniel, and there is none other beside thee. And he drew him out, and cast those that were the cause of his destruction into the den, and they were devoured in a moment before his face. Is that it? It's exactly 9 minutes. Next chapter is the prayer of Manasseh, which I don't think is similar to same thing. So let me save this right quick. Bell and the dragon. So I don't know if that was supposed to mean that was a literal dragon and Daniel made this bomb and put it in his mouth and blew his head up, or if it was just a statue that people thought was real because it looked so real, which that's possible too. Good art, if somebody's not used to seeing good art, and again, I think we take for granted just knowing and understanding the simplest thing. Like, I remember as a child once seeing something on the side of the road. I still to this day don't really know what it was. And at the time I saw it, I freaked out in my mind just because I didn't recognize, because my mom said something like, and again, so like that's a bug. And looking back, like a piece of a Volkswagen Beetle, but like the shape of one or something. It wasn't a car. Like, I would recognize the car, but I was so young. I was probably like 3 or 4. And I remember trying to put the words together with what I was seeing, and it just wasn't happening. But the fact that I was being told something, that something was something, but it didn't make sense. I don't know. And I remember basically freaking out for like anybody watching me, but like, what is this kid freaking out about? I'm going to export this to the computer. And that's his Bell and Dragon. What's interesting is, there's all these types of things that there are certainly narratives that are shared in various stories throughout history. It's just like, again, I love J.R.R. Tolkien. Bell in the Volkswagen. And he says, that he states, and I think it's a fact, because God is God, and all of our history is basically the foundation of it are these stories, and not just stories, but the truth of what God's done. So that's why there are even similarities in all these different cultures all throughout the world. But any story we can tell, someone's like a story like, oh, that's just like a ripoff of, because what's the general basis of a happy story? Is that somebody is in need, somebody gets delivered, and then that person is delivered, and they live happily ever after. Is the quintessential cliche. But in reality, most people want you to think, well, no, that's never true. Life is just a big, ball of death, and if you're without God, then it's either death or delusion. So yeah, I would seek God, to say the least. There. Pray for clarity. Rings of power is pressed. Oh no. So let's see. I don't know if I want to go on with this because I could save this short because this is not. Oh yeah, I wanted to look and see. So another thing I have here. So we just did what's called the legendary ones: Azariah prayer, Susanna, Bell and the Dragon, and Prayer of Manasseh. We have Tobit, we have Judith, we have the letter of Baruch, Jeremiah, Esdras. I get in the Maccabee yet because I think Maccabee is super long. But I still want to do more. It's still technically morning, right? Saturday morning, somewhere. I don't know. Let's see what our options are. And I am just sticking with the ones that are translated in the King James for the moment. Yeah, I'm going to see if the prayer of Daniel is actually, that's right. I already had that up, which I was looking at. The book of Daniel. All right, I'm just going to have to look that up. So I want to see if the prayer of Manasseh is part of Daniel. Prayer of Manasseh. It's probably super short, but again, if it's not part of Daniel. Semitic origin, 1st or 2nd century BC, written in the first half of the destruction of the temple, work of Hebrew. All right, so it's not linked to the Daniel thing at all. So I'll save that. Judith. This is really long. I think chapters are kind of short. So this takes place the 12th year of Nebuchadnezzar, the days of Arphaxad, which reigned over the Medes and Ecbatani. Let me just look up a little bit of stuff about this Judith. So I'm kind of wondering, do I want to try to go in maybe chronological order? Because Esdras is if it's Ezra, but Judith at the time of Babylonians, so that's still in the captivity period, along with Esther. Let's see. Book of Judith. Removed from the Bible. Let's see what Google says about it. Speculated for reasons of its inclusion, including possible lateness of its composition, possible Greek origin, apparent support of the Hasmonean dynasty, to which the early rabbinate was opposed, perhaps the brash and seductive character of Judith herself. Oh boy. Book of Judith, deuterocanonical book included in the Septuagint and the Catholic and Eastern Orthodox Old Testament of the Bible, but excluded from the Hebrew canon and assigned by Protestants to the Apocrypha. It tells of a Jewish woman, a widow, Judith, who uses her beauty and charm to kill a Syrian general who has besieged her city. Wow. And the picture of her holding a head of somebody, Holofernes. Maybe that'll be the thumbnail. So got that. Now we got Tobit. There's also Tobias. Now, I'm intrigued by this Judith now, so I think I'm going to go through Judith. How long have I been going anyway? An hour and 45. So Judith. Now, in this, this thing I'm looking at has like subject matter, didactic, which is the wisdom of Solomon and Ecclesiasticus. Then there's the religious, which is Tobit. Then Judith is under the section for romance. Then the historic is First Esdras and First and Second Maccabees. Prophetic being Baruch, Jeremiah, and Second Esdras. So yeah, let's. I'm just gonna go into. We're gonna record Judith then, I think. You think Judith is unless anyone has any specific other ones that they really wanted to hear. If Judith is good, then I'm going to do Judith right now. Well, I'm going to take a break for like 2 minutes, and I'll be right back. Actually, I really don't like some silence, so let's turn this down a little bit because I think it's pretty loud.
Ask what do I like to do? What jobs are suited to me?
I like to skate. I like to go bowling. But my favorite hobby is cutting and sewing.
You can get going, plan a business sewing. It's your job, your future job. There are many jobs you can train for. Seamstress tailor, costume designer, alterations, pattern maker.
I am the blob, the future blob.
It's no blob when you plan for a job. Don't be afraid, make a career and get paid. Do your job, plan for a future job, and you won't fear the mean of future job.
Don't count, check it out. That's gonna show what work's about. Listen up, children, if you wanna know what tomorrow will bring and where you will go. Gotta find your dreams and goals. It's time to pick your schemes and roll. Make a choice, Jack. You can't lie on your back all day. No way, no way, no way. Make a choice, Jill. Can't lie on the hill all day. No way, no way, no way. You both can make choices about a career in any old field without any fear. You can be what you want. It becomes very clear when you believe in yourself and take time to prepare.
Let's think about a career. We can both be an engineer or learn about the atmosphere.
Oh, hit the road, Zach. They've got the knack, it's clear. They're on the right track to a career.
Somewhere out there, someone needs Dr. Henry's emergency lessons for people. Dudley Spiffington is dazzling on the courts, not with his game, with his whiter than whites.
Some dazzling white tennis balls, please. Oh, my finger! Oh, my white!
First, be calm and calm him down.
Okay?
Now, look at the blood. It's not so bad. It washes dirt out and helps heal the cut by clotting. This cut is bleeding quite a bit, so press down with a clean cloth, hold several minutes, and don't keep looking underneath. This is direct pressure and should stop the bleeding. Now, wash it gently and wrap it in a sterile dressing. If a cut keeps bleeding or is deep, keep up the pressure and get to a doctor right away.
The Dudley, what a dud. Coming soon, Chester Wedding Bells Huckmeyer says.
All right. Judith. Still wonder if I'm going to regret not saying Book of Judith. Yes way. No way. Yes way. Yes way. Okay. Old Kinderhook. All right, we're going to go into Judith. This might be... Oh, no. Don't do that. I need to undo it. There we go. Chapters are pretty short, but there's a lot of them. And there's a lot of weird names. This might take a while. Let's get to it. Gotta do a new one. Excuse me. Sorry. Let's get to the... There's a whole swath of Saturday morning cartoons that I didn't watch that I knew came on, but it's like whenever I stayed over my cousin's house, we watched those because I guess we woke up, they were on a different schedule because the ones that I were used to were like at a different time or different channels. It was weird. Each kid had their own culture of what cartoons they chose to watch. Same thing with Nintendo games. And some kids even did Genesis games where it's like they were the real weird ones. Shibboleths. Judith. Well, you know what? I could do chapters since this has multiple chapters now. Chapter 1. Judith. Judith, chapter 1. It's annoying. It's kind of breaks the immersion, I think, but still, it's useful. It's not like I'm trying to make a what do you call it? A dramatized version. In the 12th year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, hold up. Okay, Nebuchadnezzar. I think I said that right first time. Nebuchadnezzar, who reigned in Nineveh, the great city, and Arphaxad, which reigned over the Medes, and Ecbatana. Chapter 1. In the 12th year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, who... Sorry, just lost my brain. In the 12th year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, who reigned in Nineveh, the great city, in the days of Arphaxad, which reigned over the Medes in Ecbatana, and built in Ecbatana walls round about of stones hewn 3 cubits broad and 6 cubits long, and made the height of the wall 70 cubits, and the breadth thereof 50 cubits, and set the towers thereof upon the gates of it 100 cubits high, and the breadth thereof in the foundation 80 cubits. And he made the gates thereof, even gates that were raised to the height of 70 cubits, and the breadth of them was 40 cubits, for the going forth of his mighty armies, and for the setting in array of his footmen. All right, so this guy's got it going on. Ecbatana, I believe, is in well, it's in Persia. It'd be an Iran. Ecbatana. Let's see. Literally, place of gathering. Ecbatana, according to Darius, is the great inscription. All this stuff is found in stone inscriptions. Capital in Iranian history. The first capital, Median, Persian. So this is a cool. Looks like the city walls. People used to walk through that as the gates of different towns. So it's, it's like a not quite Pompeii, but it's old. There's the Fertile Crescents over here, and then here we have Iran, Median Kingdom up to 550 BC. The diocese, and we got other legends attribute to Ecbatana to the legendary Semiramis or Jamshid. Ecbatana is also mentioned by other Greek historians such as Polybius, Cestius, Justin, Xenophon, blah, 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 blah. The Achaemenid Empire up to 550 and 330 BC. Here's the Estigies. Oops. That's who we were just mentioning above. Cyrus defeated that guy. So this is what we were just the first line in that. So here's where we're at. The Achaemenid Empire. Okay. Even in those days, King Nebuchadnezzar made war with King Arphaxad in the Great Plain, which is the plain of the plain in. Try that again. Even in those days, King Nebuchadnezzar made war with King Arphaxad in the Great Plain, which is the plain in the borders of Ragau. And there came unto him all they that dwelt in the hill country, and all that dwelt by Euphrates and Tigris and Hyabspis. Hold up. We can go back to
They that dwelt in the hill.
They that dwelt in the hill country. There came unto him. Hold up. Let's just go from there.
And there came.
And there came unto him all that they all they. And there came unto him all they that dwelt in the hill country, and all that dwelt by Euphrates and Tigris and Hydaspes.
And all.
We'll start from there. Hydaspes. All right, I gotta look it up. Hydaspes. The Jhelum River in Asia. Islamabad. Seriously? The Hydaspes, also known as Jhelum, the first battle of Jhelum in 326 BC between Alexander the Great and da-da-da-da-da. It's also a river god with an extraordinary swift stream. How do you pronounce it? Hydaspes. Hydaspes. Okay. I'm not looking that up. Hydaspes. I like it. We're going to go with that.
In the hill country.
We're not even 2 minutes into this. And all that dwelt by Euphrates and Tigris and Hydaspes and the plain of Arioch, the king of the Elymians, and very many nations of the sons of Chelod. Assembled themselves to the battle. Then Nebuchadnezzar, king of the Assyrians, sent unto all that dwelt in Persia, and to all that dwelt westward, and to those that dwelt in Cilicia, and Damascus, and Libanus, and Antilibanus, and to all that dwelt upon the sea coast, and to those among the nations that were of Carmel, and Galaad, and the higher Galilee, and the great plain of Esdraelon, and to all that were in Samaria, and the cities thereof, and beyond Jordan unto Jerusalem, and Bethany, and Chelus, and Cadiz, and the river of Egypt, and Taphanes, and Ramses, and all the land of Gisham, until ye come beyond Tanis and Memphis, and to all inhabitants of Egypt, until ye come to the borders of Ethiopia. But all the inhabitants of the land made light of the commandment of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of the Assyrians, neither went they with him to the battle, for they were not afraid of him. Yea, he was before them as one man. And they sent away his ambassadors from them without effect and with disgrace. Therefore Nebuchadnezzar was very angry with all this country, and sware by his throne and kingdom that he would surely be avenged upon all those coasts of Cilicia and Damascus and Syria, and that he would slay with the sword all the inhabitants of the land of Moab, and the children of Ammon, and all Judea, and all that were in Egypt, till ye come to the borders of the two seas. Then he marched in battle array. Sorry. This is just chapter 1. Are you kidding me? Then he marched in battle array with his power against King Arphaxad in the 17th year, and he prevailed in his battle, for he overthrew all the power of Arphaxad and all his horsemen and all his chariots, and became lord of his cities, and came unto Ecbatana, and took the towers, and spoiled the streets thereof, and turned the beauty thereof into shame. He took also Arphaxad in the mountains of Ragal, and smote him through with his darts, and destroyed him utterly that day. Excuse me, sorry. I'll try to mute when I do that. I'll have to do it anyway. So he returned afterward to Nineveh, both he and all his company of sundry nations, being a very great multitude of men of war. And there he took his ease, and banqueted both he and his army 120 days. 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Is that? Chapter 2. In the 18th year, the 22nd day of the first month, there was talk in the house of Nebuchadnezzar, king of the Assyrians, that he should, as he said, avenge himself on all the earth. So he called unto him all his officers and all his nobles, and communicated with them his secret counsel, and concluded the afflicting of the whole earth. Ooh. Try it again. Try that again. Right at there. So he called So he called unto him all his officers and all his nobles, and communicated with them his secret counsel, and concluded the afflicting of the whole earth out of his own mouth. Then they decreed to destroy all flesh that did not obey the commandment of his mouth. And when he had ended his counsel, Nebuchadnezzar, king of the Assyrians, called Holofernes, the chief captain of his army, which was next unto him, and said unto him, Thus saith the great King, the Lord of the whole earth, Behold, thou shalt go forth from my presence, and take with thee men that trust in their own strength, of footmen 120,000, and the numbers of horses with their riders. Number of horses? Where are we at? Where are we at?
And the number,
There we go. There you go. There you go. And the number of horses with their riders 12,000. And thou shalt go against all the west country, because they disobeyed my commandment. And thou shalt declare unto they that prepare for me earth and water, for I will go in my wrath against them, and will cover the whole face of the earth with feet of mine army, and I will give them for a spoil unto them. Did that make any sense? Prepare earth for me. I will go forth in my wrath against them, and will cover the whole face of the earth with, prepare for me earth and water, for I will go. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
give them for a spoil unto them.
Burrito. So that their slain shall fill their valleys and brooks, and the river shall be filled with their dead till it overflow. And I will lead them captives to the utmost parts of the earth. Thou therefore shalt go forth and take beforehand for me all their coasts, and if they will yield themselves unto thee, thou shalt reserve them for me till the day of their punishment. But concerning them that rebel, let not thine eye spare them, but put them to slaughter, and spoil them wheresoever thou goest. For as I live, and by the power of my kingdom, whatsoever I have spoken, that will I do by mine hand. And take thou heed that thou transgress none of the commandments of thy Lord, but accomplish them fully, as I have commanded thee, and defer not to do them. Okay. I wonder when this was supposedly written. This was supposedly written, according to this particular thing, 150 BC. This seems much. Yeah, I wonder what the earliest quoting of this is. Because this sort of direct narrative is very complex for what's usually it's crazy. Pretty cool. Again, I mean, it's probably just the way it's being translated.
And defer not to do them.
Then Holofernes went forth from the presence of his lord, and called all the governors and captains and the officers of the army of Ashur. And he mustered the chosen men for the battle, as his lord had commanded him, unto 120,000 and 12,000. Well, 12,000. Blah, blah, blah. Going back just a bit.
As his lord had.
Let's see.
The chosen men.
And he mustered.
And he mustered the
Mustard. I don't like mustard. And he mustered the chosen men for the battle, as his lord had commanded him, unto 120,000 and 12,000 archers on horseback. And he ranged them as a great army is ordered for the war. And he took camels and asses for their carriages, a very great number, and sheep and oxen and goats without number for their provision, and plenty of victual for every man of the army, and very much gold and silver out of the king's house. Then he went forth, and all his power, to go before King Nebuchadnezzar in the voyage, and to cover all the face of the earth westward with their chariots and horsemen, and their chosen footmen. A great number also sundry countries came with them like locusts, and like the sand of the earth, for the multitude was without number. And they went forth of Nineveh 3 days' journey toward the plain of Bechtileth, and pitched from Bechtileth near the mountain which is at the left hand of the upper Cilicia. Then he took all his army, his footmen and horsemen and chariots, and went from thence into the hill country, and destroyed Fud and Lud, and spoiled all the children of Rasis and the children of Israel, when Israel, let me just say it normally, not sound like a doof,
And the children of Israel.
Israel, and the children of Israel, which were and the children of Israel, which were toward the wilderness at the south of the land of the Chelleans. Then he went over Euphrates, and went through Mesopotamia, and destroyed all the high cities that were upon the river Arbonne, till ye come to the sea. And he took the borders of Cilicia, and killed all that resisted him, and came to the borders of Japheth, which were toward the south, over against Arabia. And he compassed also all the children of Madian, and burned up their tabernacles, and spoiled their sheepcotes. Then he went down into the plain of Damascus in the time of wheat harvest, and burnt up all their fields, and destroyed their flocks and herds. Also he spoiled their cities, and utterly wasted their countries, and smote all their young men with the edge of the sword. Therefore the fear and dread of him fell upon all the inhabitants of the sea coasts, which were in Sidon and Tyrus, and them that dwelt in Sur and Elkina, and all that dwelt in Gemnon, and they that dwelt in Azotus and Ascalon feared him greatly. Yeah, this is wild. For early writings, this is super detailed. Actually, when I look back and see, so looking back at the actual deuterocanonical Judith, by the way, Judith means praised. Yehudith, Judith, Jewess. So could just simply mean a female Jewish person. Judith. But I want to see what the actual scholarship in is of the writings, like the earliest attestation. Because usually from what it seems is that Christians are more into these early Jewish writings than Jewish people are. And I think it generally is quite often because of the messianic implications. Not all the time. Literary structure. Where's the scholar? Where's the... So it is supposed to be Nebuchadnezzar. Just calling it a weird name. Whatever. This is going into what all these lands are, these place marker names. First commentary is by Harbin in the 9th century. Artistic renditions. Sorry, I just want to see just like there should be just an easy spot that just, I'm probably missing it here, that shows included in the Septuagint and the Catholic and Eastern Orthodox. Excluded from Hebrew, assigned by Protestants as Apocrypha. Surviving manuscripts of Greek translations appear to contain several historical anachronisms, which is why some Protestant scholars now consider the book non-historical. I mean, that's usually very subjective, because usually there's something, the evidence of absence. Original language not clear whether it was originally written in Hebrew, Aramaic, or Greek. Well, that's great. Oldest existing version is from the Septuagint. Or which Septuagint? A Greek translation of the Hebrew script. Okay, we know that's what that is. So this tells us nothing. Because if it just says from the, well, which, I guess you could just say, well, the Septuagint says Septuagint. Do they mean a Hebrew version of it from Alexandria? Or I mean, not a Hebrew version of it, but one that was used literally by Jews, or one that was used by Eastern Christians who were speaking Greek? Because I guess the argument is that's the same thing. I don't know enough about it at that point. I'm just trying to see when, like, this can be verified to have been, like, what's the oldest point where somebody mentioned it? Just saying it was in the Greek Septuagint doesn't tell me anything. The extant Hebrew manuscripts are very late, only back to the Middle Ages. The Aramaic manuscript used by Jerome, so apparently Jerome talked about this, okay. Jerome's translation for the Vulgate was based on an Aramaic manuscript and was shorter because he omitted passages that could not be read or understood. Or understood? I don't know what this means. I'm not writing that in there. That's great. Good on you, Jerome. Just. All right, I'm going to continue.
Greatly.
Because Jerome is like the late 300s and 400s. So. I don't know. I'm still not satisfied on the history of this, but it seems ambiguous. But let's continue a bit. Chapter 3. Hold up. Feared him greatly.
Feared him greatly.
Chapter 3. Ambassadors for peace. So it is Nebuchadnezzar. I'm just saying it weird. They're spelling it weird. So they messenger. I'm looking at it. So they sent ambassadors unto him the threat of peace, saying, So they sent ambassadors unto him to treat of peace, saying, Behold, we the servants of Nebuchadnezzar, the great king, lie before thee. Use us as shall be good in thy sight. Behold, our houses and all our places, and all our fields of wheat and flocks and herds, and all the lodges of our tents lie before thy face. Use them as it pleaseth thee. Behold, even our cities and the inhabitants thereof are thy servants. Come and deal with them as seemeth good unto thee. So the men came to Holofernes, and declared unto him after this manner. Then came he down toward the sea coast, both he and his army, and set garrisons in the high cities, and took out of them chosen men for aid. So they and all the country round about received them with garlands, with dances, and with timbrels. Yet he did cast down their frontiers, and cut down their groves, for he had decreed to destroy all the gods of the land, that all nations should worship Nebuchadnezzar only, and that all tongues and tribes should call upon him as a god. And he came over against Astralon near unto Judea, over against the great strait of Judea. And he pitched between Gibeah and Scythopolis, and there he tarried a whole month, that he might gather together all the carriages of his army.
That he might gather.
That he might gather together all the carriages of his army. Mobilized infantries. Chapter 4. Now the children of Israel that dwelt in Judea heard all that Holo, the chief captain of Nebuchadnezzar, king of the Assyrians, had done to the nations, and after what manner he had spoiled all their temples and brought them to naught. Therefore they were exceedingly afraid of him, and were troubled for Jerusalem, and for the temple of the Lord their God. For they were newly returned from the captivity, and all the people were lately gathered together, and the vessels, and the altar, and the house were sanctified after the profanation. Therefore they sent into all the coasts of Samaria, and the villages, and to Bethoron, and Belman, and Jericho, and to Choba, and Esora, and to the valley of Salem, and possessed themselves beforehand of all the tops of the high mountains, and fortified the villages that were in them, and laid up victuals for the provision of war, for their fields were of late reaped. And Joachim, the high priest, which was in those days in Jerusalem, wrote to them that dwelt in Bethulia and Bethomestam, and Bethomestam. This all right. What is this? What is this word? What is this word? Bethomestam. I'm not going to say Bethomestam. And Bethomestam, which is over against Astralon, toward the open country, near to Dothaim, charging them to keep the passages of the hill country, for by them was an entrance into Judea, and it was easy to stop them that would come up, because the passage was straight, for 2 men at the most. And the children of Israel did as Joachim the high priest and commanded had to
For 2 men at the most.
And the children of Israel did as Joachim the high priest had commanded them, with the ancients of all the people of Israel which dwelt at Jerusalem. Then every man of Israel cried to God with great fervency, and with great vehemency did they humble their souls. Both they and their wives and their children and their cattle and every stranger and hireling and their servants bought with money put sackcloth upon their loins. Thus every man and woman and the little children and the inhabitants of Jerusalem fell before the temple and cast ashes upon their heads, and spread out their sackcloth before the face of the Lord. Also they put sackcloth about the altar, and cried to the Lord
About the altar.
And cried to the God of Israel, all with one consent earnestly, that he would not give their children for a prey, and their wives for a spoil, and the cities of their inheritance to destruction, and the sanctuary to profanation and reproach, and for the nations to rejoice at. So God heard their prayers and looked upon their affliction, for the people fasted many days in all Judea.
For the people
Let's go.
heard their prayers.
So God heard their prayer. Just a moment. If I'm butchering something, feel free to just let me know. Calities, hold up, what? You're driving with the radio on, and a passenger mumbling something unimportant, and still hear you clearing your voice. You said you need some mic off. I'm not sure what that means exactly. I mean, yeah, if I forgot to mute. Apologies.
And for the nations to rejoice at.
I'm probably doing it without even realizing it at this point, like the clearing of the throat and stuff. Rejoice at. Yeah, well, I mean, for like a hardcore, like coughing or something. I want to mute it. So God heard their prayers and looked upon their afflictions, for the people fasted many days in all Judea and Jerusalem before the sanctuary of the Lord Almighty. And Joachim, the high priest, try that again. And Joachim, the high priest, and all the priests that stood before the Lord, and they which ministered unto the Lord, had their loins girt with sackcloth, and offered the daily burnt offerings with the vows and free gifts of the people, and had ashes on their mitres, and cried unto the Lord with all their power, that he would look upon all the house of Israel graciously. Chapter 5. Well, you know, Mike, you're the one who said you preferred to listen to me read this stuff live as opposed to a side. So, I mean, reading the stuff live comes with, it's got to come with the clearing up. It's part of the whole, it's part of the whole package. Holofernes. Holofernes. I don't know how much longer my voice is actually going to give out. Then was it declared to Holofernes, Then was it declared to Holofernes, the chief captain of the army of Ashur, that the children of Israel had prepared for war, and had shut up the passages of the hill country, and had fortified all the tops of the high hills, and had laid impediments in the champaign countries. Wherewith he was very angry, and called all the princes of Moab, and the captains of Ammon, and all the governors of the sea coasts. And he said unto them, Tell me now, ye sons of Canaan, who this people is that dwelleth in the hill country, And what are the cities that they inhabit? And what is the multitude of their army? And wherein is their power and strength? And what king is set over them, or captain of their army? And why have they determined not to come and meet me, more than all the inhabitants of the west? Then said Achior, captain of Ammon, let my lord now hear a word from the mouth of thy servant, and I will declare unto thee the truth concerning this people which dwelleth near thee, and inhabiteth the hill countries. And there shall no lie come out of the mouth of thy servant. This people are descended of the Chaldeans, and they sojourned heretofore in Mesopotamia, because they would not follow the gods of their fathers, which were in the land of Chaldea. For they left the way of their ancestors, and worshipped the God of heaven, the God whom they knew. So they cast them out from the face of their gods, and fled into Mesopotamia, and sojourned there many days. Then their God commanded them to depart from the place where they sojourned, and to go into the land of Canaan, where they dwelt, and were increased with gold and silver, and with very much cattle. But when a famine covered all the land of Canaan, they went down into Egypt, and sojourned there, while they were nourished, and became there a great multitude, so that one could not number their nation. Therefore the king of Egypt rose up against them, and dealt subtilely with them, and brought them low with laboring in brick, and made them slaves. Then they cried unto their God, and he smote all the land of Egypt with incurable plagues. So the Egyptians cast them out of their sight, and God dried the Red Sea before them, and brought them to Mount Sinai, and Kadesh Barnea, and cast forth all. The way these are, I don't know what these are supposed to be pronounced in general. So for Kadesh Barnea.
God dried the Red Sea.
Dry. Kadesh Barnea.
Out of their sight.
And God dried the Red Sea before them, and brought them to Mount Sinai, and Kadesh Barnea, and cast forth all that dwelt in the wilderness. So they dwelt in the land of the Amorites, and they destroyed by their strength all them of Eshbon, and passing over Jordan, they possessed all the hill country. And they cast forth before them the Canaanites, the Pharisite, the Jebusite, and the Sychemite, and all the Girgashites, and they dwelt in that country many days. Not before their God they prospered, because the God that hateth iniquity was with them. But when they departed from the way which he appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles, very sore, and were led captives into a land that was not theirs, and the temple of their God was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by the enemies. But now are they returned to their God, and are come up from the places where they were scattered, and have possessed Jerusalem, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate. Now therefore, my lord and governor, if there be any error against this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their God be for them, and we become a reproach before all the world. And when Achior had finished these sayings, all the people standing round about the tent murmured, and the chief men of Holofernes, and all that dwelt by the seaside and in Moab, spake that he should kill him. For, say they, We will not be afraid of the face of the children of Israel, for lo, it is a people that have no strength nor power for a strong battle. Now therefore, Lord Holofernes, we will go up, and they shall be a prey to be devoured of all thine army. So this is like so the reading of the king's name, Nebuchadnezzar, because people shared names, but obviously it's supposed to be symbolic, like because this is the time after they have been out of captivity, but there's still wars going on, or probably during the time when they're being sent back or when they're rebuilding or reestablishing. Oh, yeah, well, that's why I'm recording it separately.
Say to be devoured of all thine army.
Chapter 6. And when the tumult how many chapters does this have? 16 chapters. All right. I'm going to stop at chapter 8, I think. Unless it seems unsuitable for some reason.
Chapter 6.
And when the tumult of men that were about the council was ceased, Holofernes, the chief, was ceased. Tumult was ceased. Ceased. And when the tumult of men that were about the council was ceased, Holofernes, the chief captain of the army of Ashur, said unto Achior and all the Moabites before all the company of other nations, And who art thou, Achior, and the hirelings of Ephraim, that thou hast prophesied against us today, and hast said that we should not make war with the people of Israel, because their God will defend them? And who is God but Nebuchadnezzar? And we He will send his power, and will destroy them from the face of the earth. And their God shall not deliver them, but we, his servants, will destroy them as one man. And they are not able to sustain the power of our horses. For with them we will tread them under foot, and their mountains shall be drunken with their blood, and their fields shall be filled with their dead bodies, and their footsteps shall not be able to stand before us. For they shall utterly perish, saith the king Nebuchadnezzar, Lord of all the earth, for he said, None of my words shall be in vain. And thou, Achior, and hireling of Ammon, which has spoken these words in the day of thine iniquity, shall see my face no more from this day, until I take vengeance of this nation that came out of Egypt. And then shall the sword of mine enemy and the multitude of them that serve me pass through thy sides, and thou shalt fall among their slain when I return. Now therefore my servants shall bring thee back into the hill country, and shall set thee in one of the cities of the passages, and thou shalt not perish till thou be destroyed with them. And if thou persuade thyself in thy mind that they shall be taken, let not thy countenance fall, I have spoken it, and none of my words shall be in vain. Then Holofernes commanded his servants that waited in his tent to take Achior and bring him to Bethulia, and deliver him into the hands of the children of Israel. So his servants took him and brought him out of the camp into the plains. And they went from the midst of the plain into the hill country, and came unto the fountains that were under Bethulia. And when the men of the city saw them, they took up their weapons, and went out of the city to the top of the hill. And every man that used a sling kept them from coming up by casting of stones against them. Nevertheless, having gotten privily under the hill, they bound Achior and cast him down, and left him at the foot of the hill, and returned to their lord. And Nevertheless, having gotten privily under the hill, they bound Achior and cast him down, and left him at the foot of the hill, and returned to their lord. But the Israelites descended from their city, and came unto him, and loosed him, and brought him to Bethulia, and presented him to the governors of their city. The city. And brought him to Bethulia. And presented him to the governors of the city, which were in those days Ozias the son of Micah, of the tribe of Simeon, and Cabris the son of Gothoniel, and Carmis the son of Melchiel. And they called together all the ancients of the city, and all their youth ran together, and their women to the assembly. And they set Achior in the midst of all their people. Then Ozias asked him of that which was done. And he answered, Then Ozias, beep, beep, beep. That is still up. Nebuchadnezzar. Nevertheless. Okay, beeping is over. To the assembly, and they set Achior in the midst of all their people. Where did it go? Oops. Ozias, and they called together ancient solid. They said, there it is. Then Ozias asked him of that which was done. And he answered and declared unto them the words of the counsel of Holofernes, and all the words that he had spoken in the midst of the princes of Ashur, and whatsoever Holofernes had spoken proudly against the house of Israel. Then the people fell down and worshipped God, and cried unto God, saying, O Lord God of heaven, behold their pride, and pity the low estate of our nation, and look upon the face of those that are sanctified unto thee this day. And they comforted Achior, and praised him greatly. And Ozias took him out of the assembly unto his house, and made a feast to the elders, and they called on the God of Israel all that night for help. Okay, we're at chapter 7. Actually, I think I'm going to leave it at that. How long have we been? 2 hours and 45 minutes. I looked about exactly an hour ago. Yeah, I think that's a good spot to leave it for. I think next week. I actually think I might be going somewhere next week. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. That's a cliffhanger. The next day they came and they said, well, they're gonna. So yeah. Don't read it. Save it for next time. And it'll be a sequel. I'm gonna back this up. And well, I can do that on my own time. So yeah, that narrative is very, and it doesn't strike me as being the early. Maybe I just haven't read enough to where, which was probably true, to be able to judge it. But the narrative seems very, very advanced and detailed. That it's like, even when you read scripture in general, it's usually like what happens in like a sentence can be like. There's a lot between the lines. This doesn't leave a lot between the lines. Exactly. I mean, the entire purpose of a king, I would say, because if all things indeed point to what God has done and what God has set forth, then the concept of even having a ruler is supposed to be a reflection of what God has done for us, and what God is going to be doing, and what he's who he is as king. All kings are supposed to be godly, righteous. I mean, that doesn't mean that happens, but that's human nature as sinners, obviously. Yeah, he's kind of pronouncing it both ways, but because I think that because the story of that Judith seems to be taking place between the time of the captivity and not during the time of actually Nebuchadnezzar. It seems like although I'm not sure. I don't think I'm going to check it out. It seems like they had already gone into captivity, and now this is like it's probably just a fictional king, a fictional period of time. I think it is. So yeah, thank you everybody. God bless. Hope you have a good Saturday. Tonight I have a couple of the Hippolytus. I think I have 2. They're pretty short. So only like 15 minutes long each. So I get half an hour of the Hippolytus videos for tonight around like 9 o'clock that are premiering. One of them is again expositionary treatise against the Jews, which is actually just a sermon about Psalm 69, and also something else basically about describing Hades against Platonic views. Depth of the word God is evident in a multitude of layers of God's communication, numbers, roots of the word, places where it come together. It's Jesus is Lord. Amen. Amen. Jim, good to see you, brother. Are you up this early, or are you still awake from before? So yeah, I'm gonna end it on some cartoonage, and yeah, God bless, and yeah, maybe see some of you tonight during the premiere of some hippopotamus. So, God bless. Send us out with some good advice.
System. You know what we build here? You! Not out of wood or metal, but out of food. You see, you are what you eat from your head down to your feet. Things like meat and eggs and fish you need to build up muscle tissue. Uh-oh. Hello, appetite control. More protein. We need energy. Playing tennis today, you know. Whoops. All these motors in your body need a lot of fuel to go on, like carbohydrates, fats and proteins, vitamins, and so on. What's left over forms the building blocks you need, indeed, to grow on. Yes, you are what you swallow, so that next time you feel hollow, don't just fill your face with any old kind of treat. This goes for every kid or 6-foot athlete. All you really are is what you eat.
Hey, you gonna get out there? Maybe meet some people.